Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. We are on episode 499. Can I tell you how crazy, amazing, and awesome that is? It feels unfathomable that in such a short amount of time, less than 3 years, less than 2.5 years, we're at 500 episodes. So exciting. Anyway, so today what I want to do in talking about on this great, amazing episode that is just barely at the line of 500 is talking about being happy, but talking about it with the lens of ongoing education. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. Taylor always talks about how, going into debt for college education and continuing your education is not a great thing. So why are we talking about continued education and being happy? Let me tell you, it's not about continued education in a scholastic setting, more about continued education in your life. Meaning, if you want to feel happier, after you've made the choice, you're asking the right questions, you have an understanding you won't always be happy every single day, right? Every moment of every single day. Then the next thing to do is start to educate yourself on things about your life. Things that make you happy, things that don't. Continue and have an ongoing education about you and an ongoing education about the things that are important to you or the things that you don't know very much about that are important to your journey. So, for instance, you heard me talking about how episode 501, we are going to change the format. I will not be doing daily episodes anymore, and each episode that I do create will be created under this formula, if you will. A formula of identity plus vision plus mindset plus leadership equals happiness. Meaning, vision, identity, who you are. That means diving into things like the 4 tendencies quizzes. That means knowing your Enneagram or your Myers-Briggs. That means exploring who you are and your templates, how you function in the world. Once you know that and you stop trying to be somebody else, you can start to then move in towards a vision, so identity is who you are. Vision is who you want to be, what you want your life to look like. What are we aiming for here? Once we've identified vision, then we move to mindset. And this is, where are those blocks? I say that I want to make a lot of money, but I actually have these money mindset stories that are blocking me, that are holding me back from that. So a lot of deep mindset work. And then leadership is your habits. How are you leading your life? Meaning, do you know who you are, how you function? Do you have a vision? Are you working on your mindset? And are you building daily habits, setting up routines to help you progress and be happier and achieve your goals? If you have the 4 of those, and there are many complex layers, of course, but if you have those 4 things, you have a formula for happiness. And in that formula of happiness is also a goal achievement, right? Whatever it is your goal is, ultimately, we all want to be happy, so that's why it equals happiness at the highest level. But whatever your goal is, you need to have those 4 components. And it's interesting because each of those 4 components contain ongoing education. When I look back at my own path up to date, I really didn't know who I was and how I functioned. I just knew I was angry. And it wasn't until I was able to dive into exploring, who am I? Okay, my template is that when I am scared or hurt or anxious, I get really angry as a defense mechanism. And what does that mean? Why am I that way? What is my identity? And is that the identity that I want? And it's super interesting because I'm just barely getting into this. But for those of you who are big Enneagram fans, I guess, I'm barely getting into it. But that is, I guess, a really true sign of an 8. And I have an 8 with a wing of a 3. So I'm also fairly aggressive. So in my worst state, I'm angry, I'm aggressive, I shut people off, I'm domineering, like all of these things, which is exactly what I was before I made the shift to be happier. And so knowing that, I'm like, oh, Interesting. I'm just barely getting into that now, but I can see that worst version of myself in what they describe eights. And I can see how if I had had that back then, it would have helped me move through it a lot faster. Many of you that are longtime listeners, you know that I'm a big fan of The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. Knowing my template, my tendency, and how I function in the world when it comes to meeting inner and outer expectations was huge for me. So my identity and the ongoing education into who I am and how I function in the world is such a good and strong foundation for the next pieces of the formula. Because then we go into vision. Okay, so what do you want? What do you want to change? What do you wish you had? What do you want your life to look like? Who do you want to be in it? The what, then the why, then the who, the where, the when, and then we get to the how. And then we can shift to also, that's an ongoing education because the things that you want can shift and progress and change. It may start out with, oh, I really like this necklace. I want that. What do I need to do to get it? To all the way, I want a different job, or I want to create a business, or I want to have a deeper purpose. You can create your vision, but you have to educate yourself on what that actually is. And then also kind of start educating others. Next is mindset. You have to dive in deep in educating yourself on what you are actually thinking and doing and how you can shift that. What is the mindset you have around your identity? What is the mindset you have around your vision? And how can you shift that mindset? There's books, there's podcasts, there's YouTube channels, there's articles online, there's so many resources, Netflix movies, so many resources that can center around the mindset piece. You can continue to educate yourself on how to shift your mindset to move forward to the next. Now, each and every one of these pieces of the formula are incredibly important, but the last one seals the deal. You need to know who you are. You need to know your identity. You need to have a vision for who you want to be, what you want your life to look like. You need to know your mindsets and how to adjust and shift them, but you also have to take action. And that's what leadership is. It's taking action and ownership of your life. It's putting in the daily habits and routines. It's not giving up. It's leading your life in the direction that you need to go. And leading yourself like you would lead a team. Giving yourself grace when you need that grace. Giving yourself that light push when you need that light push. All of these pieces are a component of leadership. But without it, there's no actual movement forward in your daily life. You need to have daily leadership. Because there's plenty of people who know who they are. They have a vision for where they want to go. They're adjusting their mindset, but then they trip over the finish line of consistency and leadership to lead them to the space that they need to go consistently. To not expect, well, I've changed my mindset. I've done all these other pieces. It's just going to happen now. It's going to happen overnight. No, it's going to take some work, and you're going to have to lead yourself down that path. But once you have all four of those, then you have your goal or your happiness. So when I talk about this next piece of just generally being happy, it is continuing your ongoing education in each of these four areas. And I would invite you to continue that education in each of those four areas. 5 if you count the ultimate final equation final piece of the equation, which is the goal of happiness. If you want to continue that education in these areas, stay tuned after episode 500, episode 501, and onward. I will be taking one of these areas each and diving into it so that we can piece together that formula and have happiness in our lives. So continue that ongoing education in any format. I invite you to continue it in addition to other places, but to continue it here with me as well as we adjust our format moving forward. But that said, stay tuned tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the last piece of this general idea of being happy. But in the meantime, if you like this episode, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and have a great day. Think about how you can continue your ongoing education, but above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.